Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3.
Grand. Thank you, Cal. Okay, members, agenda item 1 is apologies. Are there anybody looking to speak from the floor? No. Okay, well, if there are any, as we move through, you can email them through to Hilary. Okay, declaration of interest, as per usual, just take it as we go, members. And if we're all agreed, we can move on then to agenda item 3. And I'm going to hand over to Gillian. Do you want to take this one? Sorry, I'm going to hand over to Darren.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Good evening, members. Members, the item before you this evening is for decision. It's in relation to the ABC Sports Forum funding. And the request is, the decision requested this evening is recommended an additional 5,000 is awarded to the ABC Sports Forum for 24-25 under their current service level agreement. Members, we are happy to take questions, and Gillian is available to take those.
Okay, members, if a number of people have indicated to speak, I will start with Vice Chair.
Thank you very much, Chair. Could I declare an interest here as being a committee member of the ABC Sports Forum?
Thank you, Councillor Herr. Okay, I have Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Chair. Similar vein, member of the ABC Sports Forum, declare an interest. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Flaherty.
Yes, Chair, thank you. Just to declare an interest as a member of the Sports Forum, but I have to say I'm quite content with this, given now I've only been on the Sports Forum for about 18 months, and when you're in it, I think you see just a completely different side of what they actually do and the level of support that they do give our athletes. So I'm happy to propose or second or sign off anything that needs to be signed off to keep them going.
Councillor Flaherty, just in line with the declaration of interest, to keep...
Not a chance at, Chair, you know.
Which is fair enough. Which is fair enough. Wouldn't be like you. Okay, well, sure, we'll park that for now, and we'll see. I'm sure we'll have a couple of more proposers and seconders from the floor. Councillor Radcliffe.
Just declaring an interest also being in the Sports Forum. Thank you.
Councillor Robbie Alexander.
I'll propose this, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Alexander. Alderman Tinsley.
Thank you, Chair. Do you bring? Oh, yeah. Thank you, Chair. Chair, there's no doubt that the Sport Forum do a fantastic job. You know, everybody involved in it does a magnificent, and all the different grants and so forth. But the way this has been brought to us tonight, I find, is like highly irregular in the respect that we're going through cuts and efficiency processes. And I know that this is saying that there was an underspend within this particular budget, but there is not a department or not a project that's going on that I haven't seen that is either being cut, under review, and I have seen very little getting almost a 10% increase in the particular budget. I genuinely don't know how, and I've read the report, and I have spoken to one of the officers today, and what concerns me most is come this time next year, I was told today that they will probably be in the same situation again, which we do not have that money to give that contribution again, Chair. So I am content to support because I do understand everything that's going on within the committee. But I do want it to be reviewed with respect to what is being, we are contributing, because we can't afford to do this. Like, I look at our FAP budget, which we're coming on to, and we are getting under pressure as to the amount of community groups. Sorry, Chair, I can hardly hear. There's a lot of interference in the back.
Sorry, Cahill, I couldn't ask you. Cahill, do you want to just indicate?
Yeah, okay, thank you, Chair. Sorry, it was just...
Okay, no, yeah.
So really what I'm saying is all of us know the pressure that the FAP budget is under, and we've been told that we can't increase it. And so I'm just a little bit concerned with that going forward. But I suppose I am content to second it, but I would, with a caveat that there is a review and brought to us well before next year. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alderman Tinsley. Yeah, I think that's duly noted, and I would expect that to come forward. Alderman Baxter?
Yeah, it's just a different point. Gail's probably working on it over there, but I know Alderman Wilson's trying to get in. He's at home and he's not able to get on, so do we need to? Okay. I'll tell him. Okay, we'll try that. Thank you.
Councillor O'Hanlon, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Mr. Chair, just to declare an interest as a member of the Sports Forum.
Okay, thank you, Councillor O'Hanlon. Members, we'll have a proposer and a seconder, and comments have been noted. Are we happy to move on? Yep, okay, thank you. Okay, members, item 3.2, I am going to hand over to Darren.
Okay, thank you, Chair. And members, 3.2 is an item in relation to the aquatic framework, and it's a request for an extension. Members, the reason the paper is before you this evening is that the aquatics framework was established for a 5-year period, and officers within that have a number of key performance indicators to meet, and we are concerned that we did lose some time during the pandemic and with being shut down, services being shut down, and we are asking for an extension of approximately 2 years to fully review and report on the framework that's currently in situ, and also to plan and programme in the development of a new framework going forward. So the recommendation is that members would approve a 2-year extension to the current framework, noting the programme of work to take place in 25 and 26. Thank you.
Thank you, Darren. Okay, number of speakers again, members. Alderman Baxter?
Thank you, Chair. And it is something, look, I take it we're talking about how the pools are scheduled and all that type of thing, and different lanes, and when swim clubs come in and all that. Is that what really we're essentially talking about in the framework? Yeah.
I'm just going to bring Paul in on this for a wee bit, maybe a wee bit more explanation on it. If you just indicate, Paul, I'll bring you in.
Thank you, Alderman Baxter, and good evening, members. Yes, the framework is quite a detailed document. It covers a variety of things with a number of targeted, from everything from learn to swim to club swimming to performance. So there's a whole raft of sections is split into 4 or 5 different key areas in relation to learn to swim. So there's a whole number of pieces of work that we need to come back to you on. So the ask is to extend for 2 years so we can give you the information at increments so that informed decisions can be made in relation to it. So.
Alderman Baxter, bring you back in on that, yeah?
Chair, yeah, look, just briefly, I suppose there's a few things that concern. I get quite a few complaints generally from members of the public when it comes to swimming. And like, I understand what we have over here and have in the leisure centres in terms of, like, it's a minefield, total minefield, and you're never going to get it perfect. I think we all accept that. But do get quite a few complaints from members of the public who can't access the pool. They can access the pool, but they're just not agreeing with the schedule. Look, and I'm not here to say it's right or it's wrong. And I'm glad there's a review taking place. I think 2 years is a long time, Paul. And I appreciate like, it's a very, very complicated and very complex piece of work. But just in terms of the amount of queries that I get, and I know if you favour it another way, then you're going to get all the queries from the swim clubs, and we've all dealt with swim clubs, and we know how passionate they are when it comes to swim time and trying to get pool time. But I am concerned that it's going to stay for another 2 years, given the level of correspondence that I get. And I'm just wondering, is there any way that can be speeded up, or is that a realistic time frame to look at this? And in terms of feedback currently, and I know you do put out feedback from the leisure centre, in terms of questionnaires and stuff, I know because I get them on my email as well. Like, what is the overall satisfaction at the minute with that? Is there a lot of complaints coming in? Has it settled down, or is it... How is it going, I suppose, is the question.
I'm just conscious, I think they're all very important questions. I'm just concerned that maybe is the beginning of the review, essentially. That's part of that's part of the questions that we're looking answered, I suppose. You want to come back in? Sorry, Alderman Baxter.
Then, just briefly, then, Chair, when I think about, I suppose my concern is, and I know, look, I'm not a professional around these things, and I know it's a huge amount of work, as I've said, but I just think 2 years is a long time. And 2 years is a long time to review anything. You know, in my world, it would be 6 months, but and I know you'd raise an eyebrow when you hear that, but like a 6 month review in any sort of field of work should be plenty in my mind. But I'm not across the detail here in terms of what all has to take place and how we do it, but I just think it's a long time.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you, Alderman Baxter, and that is my starting point as well. I'm content if it takes longer, if it's done right. I would rather done right over a longer period of time than done badly over a shorter period of time. But I think even bringing together the correct groups in the forum, some of those actually have to be established in order to give their views as well. But I would agree with you. I don't think 2 years should be a target. I think it should be the absolute limit. And if we can get it sooner, and I'm quite sure we'll be getting updates as we go with this, I would imagine. So if you're content, do you want to come back in? Yeah.
I think to say as well, the original plan was for 5 years, and given that our facilities were basically shut down for a good 12 to 18 months, we haven't actually had a full 5 years to deliver out on what we set out to do initially. So we want to close out on that, and at the same time, yes, review what we have, but also then it's the time to build in for whatever we need to develop going forward. So that will give us the time to develop the new framework as opposed to just do a review. So there's a couple of things to that, Alderman Baxter. It's not just about a review, so it's not going to take 2 years to do a review. It's to allow us to continue with the delivery within the 5 year timeline that was originally set out in the document. So we said 5 years. We haven't had 5 years. It's been shorter than that. So we still have some more work to do on the existing one to finish that out. And then, in addition, we need to review actions on that from year 1 right through to year 5. And then we've got to also spend the time to develop out on a new framework, and those are 6 steps are set out there in the report for you on page 4 of your papers, and it's just in terms of the engagement that's required with both elected members, the public, and also with the swimming clubs and groups. We're keen that we do as much of that as we possibly can, and so we want to try and put realistic timescales in, and we'd rather be upfront and honest to say this is going to take us a period of time to do this robustly and properly, we put that in. So, but we do note members' feedback on it, and we will move through the process as quickly as we can. But again, it's just to note that we would like to complete out on the actions that we said we would do also in the existing framework. So it's not just about review; it's also about completing out on the 5 year piece of work that we set out to do, which we don't feel like we've had 5 years to do that at this stage.
Are you content with your comments being noted, Alderman Baxter? Yeah. Yep. Okay. Councillor Alexander.
Thank you, Chair. Look, first, I think I agree in that 2 years seems a very long time. So, if there's a way that we could expedite, that would be, that would be useful. When are we planning on this review of the current framework with members? Would be my first question. We'd be keen to get that kicked off sooner rather than later. Darren, I know I've spoken to you about this already, but just a couple of points I just want to make in the meeting. I mean, you mentioned there that obviously you've not had the 5 years to actually, deliver against, the framework that's there. But what I worry is, I don't think you really know if you are delivering against the framework that's there, in the sense that there's bits of that framework where it says that we want to, increase the numbers in certain areas. I think it's females under the age of 18, people from disadvantaged backgrounds, but, you don't have the data to say whether or not those have, from day one, have they actually, have those numbers gone up, have they gone down, have they stayed the same? And I think that problem still exists. And I think regardless if we're going to continue with this framework or a new framework in a year, 18 months, 2 years' time, whatever, we need to be capturing data and making sure that if we do put things into the framework and targets and KPIs that we want to go after and achieve, then we need to be actually, find a way to capture that data and actually report against it. It's, again, probably something that kind of falls into that point one there in terms of the elected member feedback, but I'd just be remiss if I didn't bring up those points. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to bring Darren in to comment on that.
Okay, thank you, Chair. And members, your comments are noted. It's just to say the existing framework that we do have does have a range of KPIs, and what we haven't done to date is that we haven't actually reported on those to you to update on progress. And there are there are KPIs in that, for example, like increasing the number of schools, using the facilities and things like that. So those are things that we do have data for. There are other bits and pieces that we will have across the board, but we haven't set out all of those things. And it is the hope that we would bring members back a report in March or April that will note the progress against the current framework and where we stand that, and we will access all of the relevant data and information that we do have. So the plan is to bring that piece of work back in to members in March or April time, and then note on the actions that are still outstanding, and then put a plan in place to deliver out on those as well. So in terms of timelines of when we're going to sit down with elected members and review this, members are really keen that we just try and get through the bits of work that haven't been completed out on at this stage. We'd like to do that first, and then we can bring that back in through committee, and then we'll pick up a timeline of progress or piece of work for going forward. So I haven't got one just at this stage, Councillor Alexander, to be honest with you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor O'Hanlon online.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks, Darren. I suppose, like others, my concern is in around the length of time that it has been set aside for the review to take place. I suppose the latter points has been probably more helpful, the stuff around the KPIs and when measuring targets against what was actually set initially. The concerns that, I suppose, like Alderman Baxter, I would have got was about access to the pool. It would have also been then from swimming clubs, and then we would also had issues around galas and when they are and how they are impacting on service users. I note Darren's suggestion we're coming back in March or April. Can I suggest that comes back in March, and then we get an interim report before the summer recess in June, and then on a 6 monthly basis after that, so that it doesn't sit out for the 2 years. That if the consultation period and the workshops are happening between now and over the next 12 months, we get interim reports, and then we get, as we move into the second year, then we get the fuller detail in relation to the new strategy. So I think that would be a suggestion as a way of trying to alleviate any concerns that I would have as an elected member about the timescale for over 2 years.
Councillor O'Halloran, I'm loath to put words in your mouth, but are you suggesting we just get updates? Is that essentially what you're saying there?
For instance, we take the update that Darren has suggested in April, and then we get an interim report, an update in June, and an interim report 12 months by this time next year, before we then move into getting a further update and then a final strategy at the end of the second year. I'm just conscious that it doesn't seem to be drift.
Yeah, okay, that's noted, Councillor O'Hanlon. I think updates as we progress through it would be more than useful. So, members, if we've no other... Did we have a proposer and a seconder for that? I'm not sure if we did, Hilary, did we? No, I'm actually, Councillor Hare is prepared to propose. Is anybody, Councillor Alexander, to second? Okay, members, if we're all agreed. We are now going to move on to information items 3.3, 3.4, 3.5. Members, unless anybody has any comments or questions relating to them, are we happy to note? Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Chair. It's just in relation to item 3.3. I just want to say it's a very positive update. We just had a quick question. Something's been raised with me, just with new members joining our gyms, in particular South Lake. Obviously January is the busiest month, but I think a few people have realised that, and it's something that I have been aware of, that the South Lake gym opens Monday to Friday, or it closes, sorry, at 9:30, Monday to Friday, but the centre stays open to 10 p.m. But at the weekends, it's open. The gym's open to the closing time of the centre, and I suppose people are just slightly confused when they were starting out in the gym why that was the case. And I know a few of our different centres are different closing and opening times for our gyms. But if you go to the likes of Jamora, Rathrisland, or Guildford, their gyms close at the time the centre closes. Just want to sort of understand the rationale for that, and if it's a case of it's just operational reasons, or it's a case of it's just never been looked at before and it's a legacy arrangement. Just to get a bit of background to that, be really helpful. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to bring Paul in on this.
Thank you for the question. I'm happy to take a look at that and come back. There should be consistency in relation to closing, in terms of facility closing to centre closing. So if it's okay, I don't have the detail, but I'm happy to come back to you on that one directly. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Johnson and Paul. Alderman Barr. Alderman Barr, could you just double check your mute button there? I'm not sure, you're not coming through there for us.
Sort of now, Chairman. Thank you for that, and thank you for bringing me in. It's just really a comment to say about the 81 new members who have signed up to the blue light card. You take that into context, that's over £2,000 a month, which is absolutely fantastic for council. And thank you for council for supporting myself in bringing that forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Barr. I'm going to bring in Councillor O'Hanlon.
Chair, I see a kiddie recreation centre mentioned there, and I'm taking liberties if you would permit, Chair. I've been contacted about the 3G pitch at the kiddie recreation centre. I know it's not indoor, but it's part of that facility, and asking about if it can be extended to a full-size pitch, and maybe if office would come back with something for consideration of a capital bid in due course.
Councillor O'Hanlon, I am informed that that actually sits with ES, so you can either raise that at that committee at full council, or if you just send an email across.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Alderman Wilson. Alderman Wilson, I think you're on mute there as well. Could you just double check from your end? You're still on mute, Alderman Wilson. I think the others were able to speak, so I'm thinking it's maybe a problem at your end rather than from over here. Do you want to try that again? Or look, I'm aware this is an information item, so if you're content, email it in if your mute button's playing up. Sorry, that's unfortunate, Alderman Wilson. Apologies for that, but we can't hear you in the chamber. Okay, members, if there are no other lights on for that, then we will note the comments and move on. Item 4, I'm going to hand over to Ruth. If you just indicate, Ruth, then I'll be able to, if you just press your wee button, I can bring in.
Thank you, Chair. Members, the Public Health Agency commission council each year for the delivery of a number of programme contracts, and they have now issued the roll forward letter for the 2025-26 year. Due to the tight deadline, approval is being sought for the Chief Executive to sign the roll forward contracts under the scheme of delegation and return it to the PHA for the closing date, which is today. And members are asked to approve this letter of offer being signed under the scheme of delegation.
Thank you, Ruth. Councillor O'Hanlon.
Chair, just declaring an interest as an employee Department of Health.
Okay, duly noted. Members, it isn't particularly controversial. I think it's more of just an item we need to go through the process. So if we could have a proposer and a seconder, we can move on. Councillor Radcliffe, Councillor Alexander. Okay, thank you, members, if we're all agreed. Items for information, there are 3 of them. So if you indicate if you have questions relating to them, if not, we can move on. Councillor Flaherty.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think probably just checking which officer it is there. It's 4.2 actually, the Town Hall Improvement Programme. I've been into Portdown Town Hall in particular, no offence to Lurgan, but I drop into Portdown quite regularly and they're very busy at the moment. It looks fabulous. The work that has been done to the main auditorium is really quite something, and I know there's been a lot of expense with lighting and all this sort of, which is outlined here. So that's it's really welcome and was really, really needed. As we know, I think probably I could suggest that a lot more work is needed in these town halls, probably from a more capital nature, but that's not our first rodeo with this one. And getting them onto the capital plan is proving very difficult. What I did want to just ask for an update on is, and this is something I've been talking about from 2021, so again, this one isn't new, is the accessibility audits that were done. Can somebody tell me how far through those we are at this point now, starting into 2025?
Thank you, Councillor Flaherty. I'm not sure, is that something we could email out to Councillor Flaherty, or is there somebody here who can answer that? Ruth? Ruth, are you happy enough, or do you want to maybe fire it out once you get a hold of the information? Are you content with that, Councillor Flaherty? I know that's putting it maybe further back, but your comments have been noted.
What I would expect, that's all right.
Right, well, you have the green light next month. If you don't receive it before then, you can have the floor again. All right, happy enough? Okay. Okay, members, there are no other lights on, so I will note those comments and we will then move into confidential. So bear with me, members. Members and online viewers, in accordance, agenda item 5, correspondence, just for the record, there are none, or there is none. Members and online viewers, in accordance with Schedule 6 of the Local Government Act, we will now be moving into confidential session of the Council. This means that we will be turning off the public feed of the meeting. This will be returned when the meeting is restarted. Can I ask ICT officers to please turn off the feed and confirm with me when the confidential section of the meeting can proceed? Perfect, thank you. Members, I need another proposer and seconder to agree the recommendations that we have just made in committee. So proposed by Councillor O'Kane and Alderman Tinsley. Thank you. Perfect. Members, agenda item 7 is AOB, of which I have none. So unless somebody has indicated and I haven't picked it up, I will assume that is the way we are with it. And with that, I will draw the meeting to a close and thank all the officers for your work in bringing their reports, yourselves for attending, and members online, and wish you all safe home. See you next month. Okay, thank you.